Does Iran want to sell secret weapons to Burkina Faso? Is that the reason why Iran, a country under constant sanctions, is shaking hands with Burkina Faso, a small West African nation? This has made the experts wonder what Burkina Faso has to offer in this deal. Maybe it is a backdoor move to dodge sanctions. But can this collaboration provoke a shift that the West never saw coming? And most importantly, what aren't they telling us? Let's find out. Recently, Iran's ambassador to Burkina Faso, Mojtaba Fagihi, and Burkina Faso's Minister of Economy and Finance, Abubakar Nakanabo, engaged in discussions aimed at deepening economic, technical, and commercial collaboration. While the official narrative focuses on economic ties, there's a bigger game unfolding behind closed doors, one that could reshape the geopolitical landscape. But what could bring together a sanctioned Middle Eastern country and a small West African nation? On the surface, the partnership between Iran and Burkina Faso might seem unlikely. Two nations with little in common, geographically distant and operating under different political systems. But dig a little deeper, and the logic starts to emerge. Iran, under decades of sanctions from the US and its allies, has been forced to look outside the traditional Western-dominated trade networks for partners.
Sanctions has been hurting Iran for a long time, but the Raisi administration's top priority is to defeat the sanctions. And one way of that is improving relations with the non-Western world. His tour of Africa represents a major strategic shift in Iran's foreign policy, and this shift has been caused by two key global developments. One was the US withdrawal from the JCPOA and the reimposition of sanctions. The other is a shift in world power.
Faced with economic isolation, Iran has turned its attention to countries like Burkina Faso that offer untapped potential and don't play by Western rules. This isn't just a move of desperation, it's a strategic pivot. Burkina Faso, on the other hand, is a nation rich in natural resources, but lacking the technical expertise and infrastructure to fully harness them. Iran, a country with a long history of technological advancements and industrial growth, sees an opportunity here. By exporting its engineering services and technical expertise to Burkina Faso, it not only finds a new market, but also a partner that doesn't come with the baggage of Western interference. Burkina Faso, meanwhile, stands to gain access to industrial knowledge and technologies that can help it leapfrog stages of development. But this partnership isn't just about trade, it's about defiance. Both Iran and Burkina Faso are tired of being treated as pawns in a global game dominated by the West. They are seeking a way to operate outside the established power structures and forge their path. By working together, they hope to demonstrate that there is another way, a way that doesn't involve bowing to the whims of the US or Europe. Historically, many African nations, including Burkina Faso, have been forced into debt traps through loans from the International Monetary Fund (IMF) or World Bank. These loans often come with strings attached: privatize industries, cut public spending, and open markets to foreign corporations, which leave countries worse off than before. By partnering with Iran, Burkina Faso is signaling that it wants a different kind of relationship, one built on mutual benefit rather than exploitation. Iran's history of resilience under sanctions has made it a master at navigating a world that's trying to lock it out. Its experience can be invaluable to Burkina Faso as it seeks to break free from the traditional dependency on Western financial systems. Together, they represent a growing trend of nations in the global South that are fed up with the old world order and are looking for new ways to assert their independence. Now that we understand the motivations behind this partnership, let's take a closer look at how it all began. What steps have Iran and Burkina Faso taken to solidify this alliance? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. The partnership between Iran and Burkina Faso has been years in the making. It didn't happen overnight, nor was it the result of a sudden political action. Instead, it was carefully constructed through a series of diplomatic engagements, economic agreements, and mutual understanding. 2 years ago, Iran and Burkina Faso established their first joint commission for economic, industrial, and cultural cooperation. This commission laid the groundwork for future collaboration by identifying key areas where the two nations could work together. The result was a series of 9 cooperation agreements, each tailored to address the unique needs and opportunities of both countries. For Burkina Faso, these agreements focused on industrial development, technical services, and infrastructure projects. Iran, with its wealth of experience in these areas, was the ideal partner. By signing these agreements, Burkina Faso positioned itself to benefit from Iran's expertise without the burden of Western-imposed conditions. In return, Iran gained access to a new market for its products and services, allowing it to circumvent the restrictions imposed by Western sanctions. Each of the 9 agreements between Iran and Burkina Faso serves a specific purpose, from the development of industrial zones to the export of Iranian engineering services. These are not merely symbolic gestures, they represent tangible steps toward a deeper partnership. For example, one agreement focuses on the construction of infrastructure, such as roads and power plants, which Burkina Faso desperately needs to fuel its growth. Another agreement involves the export of Iranian technology, particularly in the areas of agriculture and manufacturing, which could help Burkina Faso diversify its economy beyond natural resource extraction. But these agreements are not just about economics. They also include cultural exchange programs designed to strengthen the ties between the two nations on a more human level. This is important because it signals that both Iran and Burkina Faso see their relationship as more than just a transaction. They are building a long-term partnership based on mutual respect and shared values.
One often missed area, I feel, when it comes to relationship between Tehran and African countries, also in Kenya, where I am, is usually sometimes the sort of the cultural sphere. We all know that Islam that is practiced in Africa is mostly Sunni, and in East Africa mostly Sunni of the Shafi tradition. But in much more recent years, especially since the 1980s, there has been an increase in sort of Shia Islamic schools of thought that have been sort of sponsored by charities or Muslim charities coming from Islam. There is not quite a figure I could put, but there has been a visible increase in Shia mosques.
While the groundwork for this partnership has been laid, significant challenges remain. The biggest of these challenges comes from the global financial system, which has been designed to keep nations like Iran and Burkina Faso in check. How can they overcome these obstacles? The biggest challenge facing the Iran-Burkina Faso partnership isn't political or even economic, it's financial. More specifically, it's the global banking system, which is heavily dominated by Western interests. Iran, due to years of U.S. sanctions, has been cut off from the international financial networks that most countries rely on for trade and development. This presents a major obstacle to its partnership with Burkina Faso, as it makes it difficult to engage in large-scale financial transactions. For Burkina Faso, this is a serious concern. How can they engage in trade with Iran if global banks won't process the payments? The problem isn't just an inconvenience. It's a deliberate strategy by Western powers to prevent nations like Iran from forming alliances outside their control. By restricting access to the global financial system, the U.S. and its allies can keep countries like Iran and Burkina Faso dependent on their goodwill. Despite these challenges, both Iran and Burkina Faso are determined to push forward. They are actively exploring alternatives to the traditional global banking system. One option that has been discussed is the use of cryptocurrencies. Iran, in particular, has been experimenting with digital currencies as a way to bypass U.S. sanctions and engage in international trade. While still in its early stages, the use of cryptocurrencies could offer a solution to the financial barriers that have been imposed on these two nations. Another option is the use of barter systems, where goods and services are exchanged directly without the need for money. This is a strategy that has been used by Iran in the past, particularly with countries like Venezuela, which is also under heavy sanctions. By exchanging oil for food, for example, Iran has been able to circumvent the restrictions placed on its financial transactions. It's possible that a similar system could be used with Burkina Faso, where Iranian technical expertise is exchanged for Burkina Faso's natural resources. Another potential solution lies in the rise of BRICS. These nations have been discussing the creation of an alternative global financial system that would allow countries like Iran and Burkina Faso to engage in trade without relying on the US dollar or Western-controlled financial institutions. If successful, this could be a game changer, not just for Iran and Burkina Faso, but for the entire global South.
The unipolar system has gone away, and the United States can no longer dictate its policies on the entire planet anymore. So this creates more room for developing states and more room to breathe and more options. And President Raisi's tour of Africa is a major change because Iran, at the same time, has adopted a new strategic direction to complement the African economy, to improve business for the benefit of the two sides, and at the same time show to the international community that Iran has other alternatives, even if the sanctions are not lifted.
Eric, you heard Ali there talking about the fact that what President Raisi is doing now is quite a major break with what former administrations have done when it comes to foreign policy.
By aligning themselves with BRICS, Iran and Burkina Faso could gain access to new financial networks that are independent of Western control. This would not only help them overcome the obstacles posed by sanctions, but also provide them with greater leverage in the global economy. Despite the challenges posed by the global financial system, both Iran and Burkina Faso stand to gain a great deal from this partnership. But what exactly is at stake for each nation? What do they hope to achieve in the long run? The stakes for both Iran and Burkina Faso are incredibly high. For Iran, this partnership is about more than just finding a new market for its products. It's about survival. Under constant pressure from Western sanctions, Iran needs to find alternative ways to engage in international trade. Without access to the global financial system, it has been forced to seek out new partners and new markets that are willing to do business on terms that don't involve the US dollar or Western banks. For Burkina Faso, the stakes are equally high. This partnership represents a chance to break free from the cycle of dependency that has plagued so many African nations for decades. By partnering with Iran, Burkina Faso can access the technical expertise and industrial knowledge it needs to build a sustainable economy that isn't reliant on Western aid or Chinese loans. This is an opportunity to take control of their development and assert their sovereignty on the global stage. If successful, this partnership could have far-reaching implications for both nations. For Iran, it represents a chance to prove that it can still thrive, even under the most severe sanctions. By building alliances with countries like Burkina Faso, Iran can demonstrate that it doesn't need the West to survive. This could embolden other nations to seek similar partnerships, creating a network of countries that operate outside the traditional global financial system. For Burkina Faso, the long-term benefits of this partnership could be transformative. Access to Iranian technology and expertise could help the country develop its infrastructure, diversify its economy, and reduce its reliance on natural resource extraction. In the long run, this could lead to greater economic stability and independence, allowing Burkina Faso to chart its course in the global economy. On a larger scale, the success of the Iran-Burkina Faso partnership could signal a shift in global geopolitics. As more nations in the global South seek to break free from the influence of the West, we could see the rise of new alliances that challenge the existing world order. This would have profound implications for the future of international relations, as the balance of power shifts away from the traditional centers of influence in the US and Europe. But this partnership isn't just about Iran and Burkina Faso. It's part of a larger trend that could reshape the entire global order. Could this be the beginning of a new world order, where the global South rises to challenge Western dominance? This partnership between Iran and Burkina Faso is more than just a bilateral agreement. It's a challenge to the current global power structure. For centuries, the West has dictated the terms of global trade and politics, using institutions like the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and World Trade Organization to control the economic destiny of nations in Africa, the Middle East, and beyond. But the Iran-Burkina Faso alliance is part of a growing movement that seeks to dismantle that system and replace it with something new. As nations like Iran and Burkina Faso begin to form new alliances, they are sending a clear message. The old world order is no longer sustainable. The global south is rising, and they are no longer willing to play by the rules set by the West. This isn't just about economics, it's about sovereignty, autonomy, and the right to chart their course. One of the most important factors in this potential global shift is the rise of BRICS. These nations, which include some of the world's largest and most influential economies, are actively working to create an alternative global financial system that would allow countries like Iran and Burkina Faso to engage in trade without relying on Western-controlled institutions. If successful, this could lead to the creation of a new global power structure, one where the US and Europe are no longer the dominant players. Iran and Burkina Faso's partnership is a small but significant part of this larger trend. By working together, they are demonstrating that it is possible to operate outside the traditional global financial system. This could inspire other nations to follow suit, leading to the creation of new alliances and partnerships that challenge the dominance of the West. The rise of these new alliances will have profound implications for the future of global politics. As more nations in the global south seek to break free from the influence of the West, we could see a shift in the balance of power. This will make it increasingly difficult for Western nations to maintain their grip on global trade and finance. It could also lead to greater cooperation among nations in the global south, as they work together to build a new global order that is based on mutual respect and shared benefit. Now you tell, could Iran be using this alliance to dodge sanctions and strengthen its hand in global politics? Is Burkina Faso positioning itself as a key player in West Africa's rise, free from Western or Chinese exploitation? Let us know in the comments section. Will this partnership inspire other African nations to follow suit? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.